Hello again, my peeps. Happy Valentine's Day. Before I even start this video, I want to address one specific thing. I am never going to be interested in starting up a romantic relationship online. It's a line that I drew a long time ago in my life. I plan on falling in love, if I ever do, in person, organically, with somebody that I'm interacting with and can really see them in real life. So, with that said, if you are a gentleman that clicked on this with the hopes of, oh, it's a Valentine's Day video with a pretty lady on the front. I mean, yeah, I just called myself pretty. I know. No. Don't try. No, I'm not here for that. What I am here for is to enlighten the world about my experience with love, romance, and kind of where I am today with that. So, if this interests you about, the experience of being an extra-abled person who is also a Christian, or let's say I'm a Christian who is extra-abled, and my experience with love, romance, relationships, and the like, then please keep on watching. Hello, my name is Jennifer Lynn Adams. Thanks for tuning into today's video, the Valentine's Day video. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so below, and also follow me on these social media handles over here, or they might be over here too. I post a lot of in-between life on there, so go ahead and follow me there. So today's video, I really honestly didn't script. I didn't think a lot about what I'm gonna say. So this is going to be kind of just like a stream of thought about love, romance, and the like. So allow me to take you on a journey with this topic in my life. I would say that our adult love lives always start in childhood. I know that sounds a little weird, but our childhood up till the age about 5 or 6 really shows us the ways that we're going to kind of be as adults, in the sense of like, that's the time in our life when we learn about love and our own personal identity. I would say that I had a really good childhood, and I was very loved. I can definitely say that. I can't say that foundation lasted. I guess in the sense that some things happened in my teen years, which this video is going to be very vague about, like, some of the hard things that I've been through, just because those details don't need to be out there on the internet for everyone to listen to or hear. But you fill in the gaps in the sense of, like, the traumatic things that can happen when you're a teenager. And then add to that I was extra-abled, missing limbs, in a wheelchair. I was raised in a very small town. So just, factor in all those things, and I'm sure that you can fill in the blanks of some of the things that could have happened in those times. But all that to say that I went into adulthood with a very shaky sense of self, and also a lot of insecurities. And I kind of started my adulthood too, sort of exhausted. I was struggling with an eating disorder, like right when I went into college. I had anorexia. That's just a little tidbit for you. Just to show you the kinds of struggles that I was having with, like, my sense of self. And so what happened, I believe, is that in my formative years, I was kind of a 90s kid. Like, I was kind of a 90s kid, like a lot of us, in the sense that I was a teenager in the 90s. And so I remember that the standard answer for girls when we were asked what we wanted to do when we grew up was, I want to go to college, meet a nice guy. I want to start a career at age 24 and then have like 2 or 3 kids, or fill in the blank of how many kids you want, and then have my family and my career and my husband. That literally was like the cookie cutter answer. If you're a 90s kid, comment below, and let me know. I mean, if you were a teenager in the 90s, was that your sort of standard answer? And then, there was the outliers of like, women who, or girls, like teenagers, I guess, going into adulthood that were like, I don't really want to be a mom. I want to be an athlete, or, there was always the outliers, but I wasn't an outlier. I was raised on Disney. I wasn't even allowed to watch PG-13 movies until I was like 15 or 16 years old. And so I really did have a very like Disney PG concept of love that, boy meets girl, like boy loves girl, boy asks girl to marry him, and then boy and girl make a family and have a happy life. Like that literally was the storyline that I believed in. And so with that too, I also went into adulthood pretty sheltered. And I talk about that in other videos. In fact, I'll post a video right here that talks more about kind of, my childhood and how I was sheltered and things like that. So with that, being sheltered too, and being raised in a small community, I really didn't know a lot. I was very much an ingenue when I went out into the world, as a young lady. And so I went through college like just hoping for this prince to show up. And I got asked out on a few dates, but my college years were very spiritual. I mean, it was a good thing actually, because I found a group of students on campus that were just really good friends, and we all were worshiping Jesus together, and it was very organic. And I made a lot of guy friends. I mean, I had a lot of guy friends in college, and a couple of them asked me on dates, but we would go to coffee and talk, and then I would never get asked out again. And so that was kind of all that happened in college. I was very innocent. I never did like, the escapades like what a lot of people do in college. I was very like in my close knit group of friends that we all worshiped Jesus, and we were all, doing our best to live a wholesome life. And I really honestly think that those people, like those friendships, I'm still friends with so many of them now, but like those friendships formed me in such a beautiful way, in the sense that like I got to have these, for college, like very healthy friendships that were just friends. I mean, we would go out in the community and do like volunteer work together. We would read the Bible together, and it was just a really like wholesome experience. And so when I left college, it was another bubble burst, because I went from like being sheltered to that really wholesome experience, and then just basically shoved out into the world. And so in my mid-20s, I started dating, and I had a lot of messed up experiences. I mean, just like I would say that like I was attracting the bad boy type, because I was so good, because I was so naive and so innocent, and I wouldn't realize that they were a bad boy or a bad, guy, until I had been dating them for 2 or 3 months, and then it would like the secrets would come out, and I'd be like, whoa. And so, with that, like I kind of spiraled and had a lot of like really traumatic experiences in those relationships. And I will not tell you the nitty gritty details of that. I'm sure you can imagine like that these things are not original, okay? Like, so anyway, my heart got really mashed up. And then I also started to feel like, can I even trust myself? Like, if this is what I'm attracting, like, it just burst my bubble of this Disney idea of marriage. And also, being part of a Christian church too, like, there was this really strong concept of, that the guy pursues the girl, and then guy and girl make a home and have kids and all this. And I didn't even realize at the time that, like, I was being completely overlooked as like a typical wife type. And so I stayed in that sort of like singles world for a really, really long time, like really long time, and never was pursued, like never got asked out, never had even a little bit of interest in that realm. And so it really started to weigh on my self-esteem. Like, watching all my girlfriends get married, I was like a bridesmaid like 8 times. And I counted, I went to 200 weddings in my 20s, literally. And I was a bridesmaid 8 times. And so it started to wear on me. Like, I just don't understand why I'm not being chosen to be a bride. And after a while, I kind of just figured it out. Like, this isn't the scene for me. And so I decided that I was no longer going to put myself out there that way. And I kind of just like decided to live celibate. And that is a choice for me because I really do uphold Christian values. And so if I cannot fulfill or enter into like a committed relationship that follows, like, purity, then I'm not just going to be like out in the world dating the way the world does. And so I made that decision almost a decade ago, like 8 years ago. And I basically have just been single. And honestly, I enjoy my life. And I think maybe that's the whole point of what I want to say in this video, is that I am single and very happy. I'm single and very fulfilled, because I am immensely fulfilled by my relationship with God. And I'm also immensely fulfilled by my purpose in life. And, even the Bible says that an unmarried woman can focus her whole attention on God, and being very purposeful with that. And a married woman's, attention is on her husband and her children. And that's not a bad thing. I am not here to knock that. That is a beautiful thing. If you have a family, like, that is a sacred vocation too. But my vocation is to be single, to serve God. And, it might be a little confusing because I know that I look good and I've got confidence in how I look, which is totally God-given, by the way, because I had to fight to believe that about myself. And so I guess basically through trial and error, I realized that anytime I tried to date, I always ended up with a mashed up heart. Anytime I've ever put myself out there on dating sites and things like that, it has always just ended up being such an awful experience that, like, I just don't anymore. Like, I don't online date, and I don't put myself out there like that in the internet world. Do I plan on staying single forever? Honestly, I don't know. It's not a priority. If someday it feels right, then I will proceed. If someone comes into my life and, all the pieces are there, that's the key, is it has to feel peaceful and it has to feel sustainable. Those are the most important keywords for me, is peaceful and sustainable. And I just haven't ever experienced that. I think another thing that I have noticed too is that just because I don't want to date doesn't mean that I don't appreciate like friendship and intimacy. And I do have guy friends. And when I mean intimacy, I know, you guys, you're going to, when you hear intimacy, you think like bodily intimacy, but I mean heart intimacy. I mean mind intimacy. That's the kind of friendship that I really enjoy. And, I just think in general, most guys aren't interested in just talking or hanging out. But I'm not opposed to that kind of friendship. It has to be very respectful, though. I do not tolerate any kind of misogynistic sort of sexual politics or guys, just if sex is what is leading first, I'm not interested. I immediately shut that down. And that might seem extreme to you, but I think what I mean by that is any kind of disrespect where I become an object. Like, I like the way you look, so I want you. I want the way you look to be mine, instead of like, oh, you're a person with a sacred heart and a sacred soul, and I want to spend some time with you and get to know you. I'm open to that. So anyway, all that to say, we've kind of taken a long, windy road to get to the point, which is that I'm open, but it has to be peaceful. It has to be sustainable. And it has to be purposeful too. If I ever end up in a committed relationship, it will be because there's some sort of central purpose with both of our vocations and our callings with God that we are doing together in life. That's really important to me too. Those are the thoughts I have to share about that. So if you are extra abled, I would love to hear your experiences with love in the comments below. If you're not, if you have any positive comments about this video, please leave them below. And I will see you in my next video.